American, and I live in a glass house. According to the Department of Defense's 2010 Base Structure Report, the U.S. has 662 military bases in other countries overseas. But the Pentagon is reluctant to label anything a base because of the negative political connotations associated with it. So it's hard to keep track of just how many soldiers and bases the U.S. has spread around the world. But make no mistake, we have, by far, the biggest military presence in the world. By far. By a stupidly large margin. My glass house is in New York City. I can't imagine walking down Broadway past foreign armed soldiers on my way to get a coffee. But that's the reality for many people around the world. They have the U.S. military all up in their faces all the time. They have the U.S. trying to impose its will on them constantly, as if the U.S. knows what's best for everyone. And just like their military, many Americans like to pretend that they know what's best about what's going on in areas of conflict around the world. Right now, that's happening with Ukraine. Suddenly, everyone around me in New York City is an expert on what's going on in Ukraine and what needs to happen next. They listen to the media tell them exactly what the U.S. government wants them to think, and then they're experts. Or even worse, they read a select 1 to 50 articles online on their own. So suddenly not only are they experts on what Ukrainians want and need, but they're journalists on top of it. I like to call them hipster journalists. Ukraine is the pet topic for them right now. Last time, it was Syria. Remember how all these hipster journalists cared about Syria recently and had all the solutions? I guess they just got bored and moved on to Ukraine. Before Syria, it was Egypt, or Libya, or 1,000 other places where these American hipster journalists have probably never lived. Never sat down for a home-cooked meal with a family in that country to see what they wanted. But what do we expect? In America, we meddle. Our military gets up in every country's business, and our hipsters pretend to know what's right for every other culture on the planet. Sorry, you can count me out. We have such a crappy culture here. Our government, politicians, and corporations are all kinds of messed up. I can see the glass house I live in, so I refuse to throw any stones. Tonight, let's talk about that by following me on Twitter @TheResident.